In a world where love is often rushed and superficial, the story of CEO James and the resilient young woman Diep is a timeless tale, one woven with pain, sacrifice, quiet strength and enduring hope. When we last left them, the dark curtain still seemed to linger. John, the mastermind behind the web of lies and mental torment, had finally been brought to justice. Yet, in his final act of revenge, he struck a fatal blow against James. Without hesitation, Diep threw herself into danger. The impact was instantaneous. Her body collapsed, and with it, James' world fell silent. Within the sterile white walls of the hospital, James became a constant, no longer the commanding CEO in the boardroom, but a man silently collapsing at the bedside of the woman he loved. He whispered words in the silence, hoping somehow she would hear, begging fate to return her. And then, a miracle, a blink, a breath. Diep stirred. It wasn't just a return to life, it was a rebirth of hope. For James, it was the moment the world snapped back into focus. The tears that fell this time weren't of despair. They were of joy, a joy that was pure, unbelievable, and exhilarating. Diep recovered slowly but steadily. James took her back to their modest home, the very place where their dreams had stopped. He became her constant companion, her silent protector. One morning, Diep opened her eyes and found him sleeping on the chair beside her, still holding her hand. He did not want to disturb her sleep. No confession was needed, no words were needed. Each silent act of care said it all. As Diep's health recovered, the simplest pleasures of life gradually returned. They cooked together, walked in the garden together, laughed over a cup of tea, as if recapturing the moments of time that had been stolen. But life, as usual, required balance. James soon returned to the role of company leader. The company's operations were still reeling from John's sabotage. He threw himself into rebuilding. Contracts were renewed. Partners were renewed. On the green hills, he stands alongside engineers, inspecting timber, assessing growth and planning restoration. At the same time, a different kind of restoration is taking place back home. Diep's lychee garden had blossomed during her absence, and now she returned with a new purpose. The lychee trees were towering, laden with fruit. With deft hands and quiet determination, she climbed the ladder, picked each bunch, and carefully tied them with banana fibers that she had woven herself. At the local morning market, her fruit sold faster than she could arrange them. Buyers needed no convincing, the clean, chemical-free produce spoke for itself. She returned home not with wealth, but with the pride of a woman who had rebuilt something of her own. That afternoon, she brought a basket of ripe lychees to someone special, James's mother. The elderly woman had cared for her during those long, uncertain days in the hospital. To Diep, she was more than a caregiver, she had become a mother, silently filling the painful void left by her mother's passing. They sat on the porch, talking like mother and daughter. Diep, with a calm, gentle expression, told of her grief, her fear, and the unexpected kindness of the man named Tung who had saved her, but also made it clear, he was a good man, but not the one I chose to walk this life with. There was no judgment in James's mother's eyes, only quiet understanding. "My daughter is always wise," she replied. Those simple words, "my daughter," brought tears to Diep's eyes. Touched by James's affection, his mother asked Diep to stay with her. "You'll be safer here," she said softly. But Diep refused. "I am afraid it'll be a burden." "I want to be stronger, to be worthy of James." The old woman didn't object, just smiled and said, "There will always be a place for you in this house." That afternoon, when James arrived and saw Diep quietly folding clothes on the porch, he smiled, deeply, gently, completely. After a warm greeting, he pulled her out into the garden. "You don't have to carry everything by yourself anymore," he told her. "If you don't want to stay here, let me find you a place nearby." "A safe place." Diep lowered her head, her voice gentle. "Thank you." "But I need to prove to myself that I am no longer weak. That I can stand up on my own 2 feet." James hesitated, then nodded. "Okay. But tomorrow, I'll go with you. Wherever you are, I'll be there." She didn't answer, but her silence said it all. The next morning, they drove back to the old farm. But what greeted them was devastation. A flash flood had swept through the village overnight. Rice paddies were submerged, crops were flattened, villagers stood along the road in despair. James stopped the car. Without fanfare, he met with local officials. He listened, took notes. Then he simply said, "We will help. Whether it's seedlings or donations, we will do our best to rebuild." For the villagers, this was not charity. It was a restoration of dignity. Back at the farm, James didn't even have time to rest before having to continue on his way to deal with the urgent work ahead. Before leaving, he held Diep's hand and gently said, "Stay here, okay? Hockeys will go with you, don't be afraid." Diep nodded to see him off with a gentle smile. After James left, she was still in the small wooden house nestled in the middle of the orchard, a familiar quiet place peaceful enough for her to reflect on everything she had experienced, their loyal dog. Lying on the porch as usual, every time Dee stepped out, the dog would trot beside her, wagging its tail. She happily stroked its soft fur and smiled. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work, sweeping, cleaning the house, taking care of the garden, watering the vegetable beds that she and James had grown together. Every little thing brought back memories, but this time, the memories no longer brought fear, they brought strength, standing in front of the mirror. She looked at herself. The weak, hesitant girl was no longer there. The one who used to be bedridden in the hospital now had a new diaper, independent and loving herself, she whispered to her reflection. Even though life is still full of dangers, I will still live well, not for anyone else but for myself, and if love comes again, I will not push it away, as long as it is true. These two quiet, humble people are gently writing one of the most beautiful love stories, a love that is rooted in simplicity, a love that is expressed through responsibility, a love that is built on patience and trust, and just like them, we who follow their journey can continue.